I'd like to call the Onslow County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Monday, December 16th, 2024 to order at this time. We'll start with Ms. Janelle Galloway leading us into invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Chairman. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Lord, be with the commissioners tonight in their deliberations and grant them wisdom and guidance as they address the items on tonight's agenda. During this Christmas holiday, we pray for joy in our hearts, blessings on all people, and peace upon earth. Father, we pray for the men and women in our armed forces and for the first responders who will be away from their family during the holidays. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. Amen. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here today, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Please stand.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to recognize the elected officials that are here this evening. Mr. Rick Grant, Alderman from North Topsail Beach. Mayor Pete Parion. I didn't get that right, did I? And I practiced it too. I'm from Holly Ridge. Glad he's here with us. And Omega Jarman, Register of Deeds, here with us as well. And remind me of your name, sir. That's, I could not, the Zabicki. And town commissioner from Holly Ridge, Mr. Walter Zabicki. Thank you. We appreciate all of you being here this evening. We ask that all in attendance please set your cell phones to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public one opportunity to speak during the meeting. Comments should be limited to no more than 5 minutes and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedure, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. Item 1, we need a motion to adopt the agenda. So moved. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any conversation? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll move to public comment. Mr. Smitherman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have quite a few visitors this evening that would like to address the board, starting with Taylor Green.
Thank you. Taylor Green, 1477 Highway 172, Sneads Ferry, North Carolina. Our neighbors have a gun range, and they continuously shoot. There's a gap in the enforcement between the sheriff's department and the planning department, where they have a private gun club, and they're charging a membership fee, and they must have 90 or 100 friends that they invite over every day to shoot throughout the week. And it is oppressive upon us. We've found out at a hearing they tried to file a no contact order for me calling the sheriff's department on them for noise complaints. They just won't stop, and they're shooting in the general direction of my stepdaughter's house. Her kids won't even go outside and play during the shooting. It happens all the time, and nobody is doing anything about it. The county can't do anything any more than what they're doing. The sheriff's department can't do anything more than what they're doing, but yet they continually shoot. And we would like something done about it. It's not Jim Bob's backyard range where they're shooting 20, 30 rounds at a time. It's a couple thousand rounds a day. And it's really oppressive. Matter of fact, when we left to come here, they were shooting at 5:45 tonight. So we would like the issue addressed. when does a allowed to shoot on your property become a public gun range or a shooting range facility or a private shooting range facility? There's no verbiage in there for that. So the county stuck the attorney, and I think Carter, after speaking with him tonight, I think he's doing what he can do, but it's just not enough. We're still getting pounded by this every day. I can't sit and drink coffee and watch church on Sunday morning at the house on TV because of gunfire. Can't leave when I leave in the afternoon, on Sunday afternoon, there's 3, 4, 5 people over there shooting. And it's not a little bit of shooting, and it's all calibers. So you can hear everything from rifles to pistols to somebody unloading a 18-round clip, and you can hear the ting, ting, ting from the targets. So really would like something done. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Green.
And the ordinance as it's written is fine. The problem is enforcing it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, our second speaker is Victoria Scott.
Hi, my name's Victoria Scott, and I live at 1477 NC Highway 172. And it's the same issue with the gun range that's going on. Clearly, it's less than 500 feet away from my granddaughter's house, which is my daughter over there and her 3 kids. Those kids are not allowed to go outside when they're doing the shooting, and it's not fair to the children not to enjoy their outside time because of the gun range and them constantly shooting. They even shoot at night whenever it's convenient for them. They shoot from the morning to the darkness almost every single day. And I also own a preschool, and they're shooting towards her house, which is probably about 200 feet away from my daughter's house, and they're shooting as well. And I can completely hear them shooting while we're at the preschool, and the children are in the playground and trying to have fun, and we hear all this shooting going on at the same time. And I would really appreciate if something was done about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, our next speaker is Alexis Fretwell.
I'm Alexis Fretwell. I'm the house that they're talking about that's right behind the gun range. My 3 kids are over there. I have a 9-month-old, a 3-year-old that has autism, and then I have a 9-year-old. I don't let my kids outside because you can literally hear like multiple people shooting with different types of guns. You can hear it hit the metal plate, you can hear it hit cans, like it's just constant. Even at nighttime, my bedroom is closest to where they are shooting, and we have to sleep with a noise machine on because it wakes the baby up at night. Oh yeah. And even my dog's scared. So, but I live at 1479 NC Highway 172 in Sneaks Ferry, right next to my mom. But we live closer to it. It would be really nice if they just wouldn't shoot towards my house so I can let my kids outside and play. I don't know what else to say. Is that good? Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, our next speaker is Timothy Bogey.
Good evening. Hopefully a lot of y'all know who I am. I've been emailing y'all the last couple of days about the road out on Maynard Manor. Obviously that road is supposed to be considered a private road. However, I'm glad the Register of Deeds is here because I have a paper saying that a James Mades is the one that was supposed to be assuming the road maintenance. It was in book 3381, page 182. I'm not sure how that's enforced, but it's still on the records. So to me, that means it would be a lawful type, I don't know, law, I guess you would call it, that somebody's supposed to be handling that road. I understand that technically right now on the books in the state, there's a House Bill 983 to talk about the orphan roads or private roads. the ones that haven't been taken over up to this point. However, they've only had a committee, and it's not till next May before they actually adjourn that committee and report their findings to the state. I've gotten a couple, just in my son's area, I've looked and got a couple different quotes. The last quote I received was for $29,000. Obviously, I cannot pay that at this time. I asked for a quote for a different part of the road, and it came up to $16,000. I obviously cannot pay that right now as well. The road down there on Maynard Boulevard is getting worse. Hopefully, y'all seen the PowerPoint I sent y'all last week. You could tell the difference from 2014 to 2023 to 2024 now. It's costing my boy money. He's the one that lives down there. He's a single man, lives in that mobile home down there, and he's gone through 4 different wheels, 7, maybe 8 different tires, just in his car alone. I talked to the mail person down there, and they told me that the postmaster may be coming down that road to assess it, and if it's a road that's going to be causing them maintenance on their vehicles, they'll stop delivering mail in that area. They'll have to go to the post office, or they'll have to move all their mailboxes up to the front of Maynard Manor. As well, if you saw some of the pictures that I sent, FedEx trucks that are going through there, they're almost bottoming out. The FedEx truck's pretty good size. If the back end of it is almost hitting the ground as it goes through some of those bumps and areas, that's pretty significant. You're looking at about 300 feet just in that one area by about 26 feet. It's a pretty detrimental and hazardous place for anybody to be driving on. I realize that the board doesn't do roads. I get that, and I understand that. However, either if we can enforce this, that would be great, or if I have some type of solution to help out. If not, what's going to happen is I'm going to be going down there myself, my own time, my own money, and I'm going to do the road myself, just that area. And if it's considered a private road, I don't know where the law ends, where the law starts as far as what I can and can't do down there. So that's kind of where I'm at this point. I know, sir, you had one of your assistants come out last year and assess it. It's a lot worse. It's horribly worse. The area we didn't know was going to get worse actually is the area that got worse, and more people drive on that. On the back side of the Maynard Manor, on the other side of Maynard Boulevard, I can't remember the name of that road, they've brought in gravel to try to fix that road because it's almost a through. You can go completely around. However, it's washing away, so now everybody that lives on that side comes all the way down the road to go back in and up to their houses. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. If I could get any type of help or assistance, I'm free all day. I got a heavy back. I can work, but I'm going to need help with it. I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Boogie.
Mr. Chairman, our next speaker is Ari Rakowitz.
Thank you for honoring Major Capers last week and for better supporting the Board of Elections this year than in decades. Commissioner Carpenter's visit to observe what she called insane working conditions during the recount took place after the worst of the chaos caused by severe understaffing and underfunding had been managed excellently by staff. Approving the budget requests, including 2 full-time positions and 2 high-speed ballot counting machines, will not fully repair the damage done, but will make a lasting positive impact. Empowering the Board of Elections to function more effectively is critical to ensure accessible, safe, and fair elections. The Board of Elections and Major Capers are not the only survivors of decades of underfunding, understaffing, and policies designed to be hostile toward not only but disproportionately people of color, people of LGBTQ+ gender identities and sexual orientations, and people of non-Christian or no faiths. To quote the Poor People's Campaign, people should not live in or die from poverty in the richest nation ever to exist. Blaming the poor and claiming that the United States does not have an abundance of resources to overcome poverty are false narratives used to perpetuate economic exploitation, exclusion, and deep inequality. Stop blaming the poor in Onslow County. Stop criminalizing and stigmatizing poverty by, for example, adding unnecessary barriers to housing and employment, like requiring drug tests and limiting access to internet service and public transportation. The military and prison industrial complexes perpetuate unjust and inequitably enforced laws, resulting in mass infringements of civil rights through, for examples, what the gentleman was talking about earlier, also rescinding reparations for slavery, violating treaties with Native Americans, prohibiting controlled substances and sex work, criminalizing addiction and denying equitable access to ethical, faith-neutral addiction treatment, denying women's reproductive rights, denying access to ethical care for and support of LGBTQ+ gender identities, people of LGBTQ+ gender identities and sexual orientations, and denying equitable access to ethical care for people experiencing physical or mental illnesses or differences in abilities. The answer is not a new county jail, but a compassionate ethical update of policies and procedures to keep people out of jail and off the streets. According to Angela Davis in her work on prison abolition, our legal system has become so unjust that we are all lawbreakers. But the incarcerated population does not reflect that reality. We can respect men, women, and children who serve the public without penalizing the poor. In Onslow County, the Emancipation Proclamation was read on January 1st, 1863, freeing enslaved people. Join the Onslow County NAACP in celebrating on January 1st from noon to 1 at New Beginnings on Belfork. RSVP at bit.ly/OCBEDJAN 2025. That's bit.ly/OCBEDJAN 2025 by December 26th. But the 13th Amendment created a loophole for slavery to continue through mass incarceration, and that's not the only way discrimination or slavery were perpetuated. According to the Onslow County NAACP president, at least one town within this county was a sundown town before the Civil Rights Movement, which has had lasting effects on local culture. And LeVar Burton of Reading Rainbow reminds the world that children of active duty service members serve the military too, but we are drafted by birth. The Board of Commissioners has made decades of decisions perpetuating these wrongs. Now is the time to change. As part of your integrated plan with the municipalities, I challenge the county to form a committee to research who in Onslow County is owed reparations for slavery, treaty violations, and wrongful incarceration, and to determine what combination of direct cash payments and equitable improvements to policies regarding criminal justice, economic development, education, housing, and health and wellness will be most beneficial for the community. Asheville has developed a Community Reparations Commission, so connecting with their team may be a good place to start. Until healthcare professionals can provide affordable, faith-neutral, gender-affirming, research-based, best practice healthcare to people of all ages, we are just finding new ways to enslave each other. We all have a right to live, and we all need support for coping with life's challenges, including creating and ending life. To reconnect the issues, the Board of Elections, work in a repurposed social services building, a poor fit for the current purpose. The building is located in Georgetown, the former segregated home of a thriving black school that was bombed during the Civil Rights Movement. I'll stop there.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, our final speaker tonight is Robert Davis.
Good evening. My name is Robert Davis. I reside at 1479. I'm here today to talk about the constant shooting from the gun range. I wake up around 6 in the morning. I get dressed. I have to leave the house by 7. Sometimes I hear it. They're out there shooting at 7 in the morning. Okay. I go to work. I return around 5 p.m. They're still shooting. In between that, I have a full-time job. It's hard to play with the girls outside, my daughters, because they're always shooting. There's not a time they're not shooting. On the weekends they're shooting, and something needs to be done about it. It's getting ridiculous. I'm an avid gun owner myself. I love to shoot, but it's bad. It's hard to put the baby to sleep. It's not a good time. Please do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that's the conclusion of the public comment period this evening.
All right, so we'll move right into presentations. I'd like to ask former Commissioners Mark Price and Walter Scott to come up. We're presenting these plaques this evening. Recognition of service presented to Walter Scott and recognition and appreciation for your outstanding commitment and service as Onslow County, as a county commissioner to the citizens of Onslow County from 2020 to 2024. Thank you, Mr. Scott. Same thing for Mark Price and recognition and appreciation for his outstanding commitment and service as an Onslow County Commissioner to the citizens of Onslow County from 2016 to 2024. Mr. Price. That being said, we wish them success and less stressful situations. Mr. Smitherman, we will go now to item 5 for public hearings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first public hearing is rezoning number 16 of 2024, the Sheffield rezoning, and Planning and Development Director Carter Metcalf will come forward to present this matter.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and County Commissioners. As Mr. Smitherman said, the first item before you is the Sheffield rezoning, Period Z 2024, number 16. The applicant is Mark Sheffield, and the owner is Mark Sheffield, CLLC. Overview of the request, it is from Residential 8 Manufactured, or R-8M, to Rural Agriculture, or RA. Tax map number is 761-20.16, and it's located at 117 Logan's Run in the Stumptown Township. Rezoning area is 1.81 acres, and the existing use is residential. When we look at the services in the area, there's an 8-inch unwashed water main along Old Folkestone Road, and many of the nearby properties are served by individual septic system. The fire district for that area is Turkey Creek with an ISO rating of 4. And our most recent and closest traffic count came from 2022 at a trip count of 7,900. Staff estimates the capacity of Old Folkestone of over 13,000. Schools serving the property are Coastal Elementary, Dixon Middle School, and Dixon High School. The elementary and high school are currently projected to be over capacity, while the middle school has capacity. When we take a look at the zoning map, you can see the property there outlined in pink. It's R-8M. And all the surrounding area there, certainly to the south, but also east and north, is that lime green color or rural agriculture. When we compare the two districts, the current zoning is R-8M, minimum lot size of 8,000 square feet. Its purpose is to accommodate moderate to high-density single-family and multifamily residential development, as well as a specific emphasis on manufactured housing in urbanizing areas of the county that have access to utility and transportation infrastructure to support, again, development at that scale. Comparatively, when we look at rural agriculture, this would be considered a down zoning because their minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet and is to maintain a rural development pattern that preserves the agricultural character of the county while accommodating limited low-density single-family and limited commercial uses. We take a look at the comprehensive plan. It was identified with the future land use of rural residential. And its intent is to provide for low-density single-family development in those rural areas of the county, specifically areas that are on the fringes of the county suburban growth areas. And when we take a look at what would be appropriate as the residential land use summary, which is what we would look at for rural agriculture, single-family residential development at a density of up to 2 dwelling units per acre, which would directly correlate with rural agriculture with a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet. Here is the future land use plan. You can see that entire area is that rural agriculture designation. Look at environmental constraints. There is no regulated flood zones on the property. There is a ditch that is along the southeastern property line, but is not a regulated blue line stream per the state. So there's no regulated environmental conditions that the staff are aware of. We'll look at reasonableness in the public interest. It could be considered reasonable because rural agriculture is an appropriate zoning district to rural residential and aligns with the county's objectives and the comprehensive plan of 1.1, 1.3, and 2.4. Look at those. The county seeks to proactively manage growth in areas of the county that are developing. We seek to preserve the rural landscape, and we seek to manage and coordinate well with our school system. Could be considered unreasonable, again, because this is a downzoning, so would limit the amount of uses. And so, you know, that how could be deemed unreasonable and not in the public interest. But at Planning Board, they met on September 5th and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. The applicant was present, and 3 citizens spoke against the request. Their concerns were regarding traffic, specifically on Logan's Run, how is Logan's Run to be maintained, and as well environmental impacts to a nearby creek. No military impacts, though, were presented during the Planning Board meeting. Take a look. Here's an overview of where the property sits relative to Old Folkestone Road and Winery Road, a significant intersection in kind of the southern area of the ferry. When you zoom in, you can see that there is a manufactured home on the property, and as well, there's some trees on the property. And here you can see a look of the site from Logan's Run, as well as the required notice for tonight's hearing. So it is respectfully requested the Onslow County Board of Commissioners consider the proposed zoning map amendment of Period Z 2024 number 16 and adopt a statement of consistency for the amendment and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county. This concludes the staff presentation.
At this time, Mr. Chairman, we will open the public hearing. And as there are no citizens signed up to speak, we will close the public hearing and turn it over to the board for further consideration.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, we would ask Mr. Metcalf to approach the podium again to present the Collins Acres rezoning.
Good evening, Board. The Collins Acres rezoning request, Period Z 2024 number 21. The applicant is John L. Pierce and Associates, and the owners are Diversified Investors and Atlantic Construction. So we take an overview of the request. It's from Residential 15 or R15 to Rural Agriculture or RA. There are 5 properties in question with a range of numbers that is on your screen. Is located off of Redbeck Lane, and depending which property you're looking at, depends on the different address, and again, those are listed before you, and is in the White Oak Township and off of Belgrade-Swansboro Road. Look at the rezoning area. There's 58.60 acres across all 5 pieces of property, and there's a variety of different uses. There's a house that has begun the foundation work, so a little bit of residential use, but mostly kind of vacant farmland. So we look at the services for the area. There's a 6-inch Onwuasah water main along Belgrade-Swansboro Road. The wastewater we would expect would be individual septic systems, and as well with the fire district is the Hubert district with an ISO rating of 6. The most recent traffic count came from 2022 with a trip count of 2,100 trips. Staff estimates the capacity of over 14,000 for Belgrade-Swansboro Road. There are 3 schools serving the property. It's Silverdale Elementary, Hunters Creek Middle School, and White Oak High School. All of those schools currently are projected to be over capacity. However, there is a school under construction in that area. Here you can look at the zoning. These 5 properties are the ones with that residential 15 designation, and they are surrounded by rural agriculture. We compare the two districts, minimum lot size of 15,000 square feet, and the purpose of that district is to accommodate moderate density single-family residential development in suburban areas of the county that have access to utility and transportation infrastructure to support a suburban scale of development. The predominant uses that we see in this development are single-family residential. Comparatively to rural agriculture, again, a down zoning, compared to 15,000 minimum lot size to a 20,000 square foot lot size, what we see in rural agriculture. And its purpose is to maintain that rural development pattern that preserves the agricultural character of the county. Look at the comprehensive plans designated as agriculture forestry, and its intent is to preserve and protect the rural character and working lands while providing for limited low-density residential development and those non-residential uses that would support those rural residents. Many lands that were given this designation were already working lands or, however, were in areas that had that limited infrastructure that would limit growth in that area of the county. So we compare the future land use summaries. We would look at that residential designation. And again, that single-family residential on parcels that are larger than 1 acre in size when outside of a major subdivision we would want to look at. And rural agriculture is our closest fit of our zoning districts to that category at this time. Here's our future land use map. You can see that agriculture forestry designation is kind of that sage green color. While we do have that pink, is the infrastructure, energy, and extraction. That designation was given to uses that were already on the ground, and we're going to look at that in our aerials in a few moments. That was not something that staff proactively did when we went through the comprehensive plan. Here you can see the environmental conditions. There's no regulated flood zones, and certainly no regulated blue line streams, and any sort of wetlands that would be on site would be submitted during the development review phase. This rezoning could be considered reasonable and in the public interest because rural agriculture is an appropriate zoning district to agriculture forestry and supported by 1.1, 1.3, and 2.4 objectives in the comprehensive plan. Those objectives, again, are to guide the county in our land use decisions. We're to characterize land use decisions by our future land use map. We seek to preserve the rural landscape, and again, we seek to coordinate with our school system. And then it could be considered unreasonable, again, because it's a downzoning and we're restricting the amount of uses on the property. We look at Planning Board's recommendation. They met on November 7th and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. The applicant was present, and no citizen spoke against the request. Planning Board asked a few questions as it relates to the access of the property, which the applicant clarified. No military impacts were presented during the Planning Board meeting. And the statement from remarks from the Planning Board's chairman are as follow. The owner wishes to subdivide the property into many ranches and is proposing RA zoning from R15. The RA zoning surrounds the property to be rezoned. RA is compatible with agriculture uses and a rural atmosphere and is compatible with the future land use map and comprehensive plan. So here you can see the aerial, and you can see there to the east the solar farm, and that's why I was given that future land use designation of infrastructure, energy, or extraction. Closer look, you can see, and this is again, these are areas from 2022, but you can see how the property is used as farmland. And upon the site visit, this is where we posted the notice for tonight up by the road. So because the properties are set quite a bit back off Redbeck Lane, we want to make sure that we're providing notice to any neighbors. This is what it looks like to go down Redbeck Lane towards the property there. You can see to the left and certainly the rear. Then the very back of the property, to the left is the left-hand side if you're on Redbeck Lane. To the right is the right side where they were beginning construction of a foundation out there. And is respectfully requested, the Onslow County Board of Commissioners consider the proposed zoning map amendment of Period Z 2024 number 21. Adopt a statement of consistency for the amendment and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county. This concludes the staff presentation.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, we'll open the public hearing for the Collins Acres rezoning. And the first and only speaker signed up this evening is John Pierce.
Good afternoon, John Pierce, 405 Johnson Boulevard. Actually, Carter did a pretty good job. We presented it to the planning board, and it's such a large demand. Actually, when we bought this piece of property, it got rezoned in 2020. It originally was RA, and I'm not sure, I might be the culprit that had it rezoned, but I don't remember. But anyhow, it got rezoned during the UDO period. Right now, currently, there's 4 houses started on it, and all of them are going to be stick-built homes, Atlantics, under some form or fashion. They're framing, and of course, all the folks out there, being in the country, they want a horse barn, and you could get one permitted in R15, but it would accept a special use permit. But this was, just makes it, I think it feels like the most appropriate zone. We got public water run to them, and all of them's got septic tank permits, and I think 3 or 4 of them's already been installed. And I'm here tonight to answer any question that the commissioners may have of me. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce.
Mr. Chairman, we will now close the public hearing and turn it over to you, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
Our final public hearing this evening, Mr. Chairman, is the Cotton Hill rezoning, and Mr. Metcalf will present that for your consideration.
So our last rezoning, so 3 of 3 here. So it's the Cotton Hill rezoning request, PREZ 2022. The applicant is the same as request number 21, Mr. John L. Pearson Associates, but the owner is the Beaver Creek Investors Incorporated. Take an overview of the request. It's from residential 15 to rural agriculture. 2 tax map numbers in question, 1138-8 and 1138-8.3. The location, because it's 2 parcels, it's at different cul-de-sacs, and we'll look at that in aerials. One is Cotton Hill Place, and the other is Windermere Road. But it's located in the White Oak Township, and across the 2 properties is 134.36 acres. The properties are vacant and forested. When we take a look at the services for the property, there is a 2-inch and 6-inch Onwassa water main along West Warner Court, which is a nearby street in the Cotton Hill subdivision, and then the same is true on North Windy Ridge Road, and those are both already taken over by Onwassa. There's also the subdivision is served by individual septic systems, and their fire service is Hubert Fire District with an ISO rating of 6. The nearest traffic count, and the latest one we could find, was from 2022 off Riggs Road, which was 2,000 trips, and staff estimates the capacity around 12,000. The schools serving the property are Queens Creek Elementary, Hunters Creek Middle School, and White Oak High School. We take a look at those schools with their current projections. One second, flipping the pages. Queens Creek Elementary is expected to have capacity, while our middle school and high school are expected to be at capacity. We take a look at the zoning map. You see their properties there to the rear of the Cotton Hill subdivision with R15 as their designation. R-8M is across the road, and that's the other shade of pink. But you can see the properties do immediately abut the rural agriculture zoning district. Compare the 2 districts. Residential 15 has a minimum lot size of 15,000 square feet, and it's to accommodate moderate density single-family residential development in the suburban areas of the county. While comparatively, rural agriculture has a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet, and its purpose is to maintain that rural development pattern that preserves the agricultural character of the county and that rural agricultural heritage. Take a look at the comprehensive plan is the agriculture forestry designation, where to preserve and protect that rural character and provide for those working lands while providing a limited low-density single family. We look at the residential land use summary, which is the same as before. Single-family residential developments on parcels larger than 1 acre in size when outside of a major subdivision. We look at the future land use designation. You can see some of that existing neighborhood was given the rural residential category, while these properties were given the agricultural forestry designation. Look at environmental conditions. There is a regulated blue line stream, Big Camp Branch, that does go through one of the properties. They're the northern of the two. And there is no mapped regulated flood zones, but certainly could be other environmental conditions on site, which I would defer to the applicant on those environmental conditions. We look at reasonableness in the public interest. It could be considered reasonable because rural agriculture is an appropriate zoning district to the agriculture, forestry, future land use designation, and is consistent with three policies or three objectives in a comprehensive plan. 1.3, which is again preserving the rural landscape. 2.4, coordinating with Onslow County schools. And then 4.2, which is protecting the natural environment through policies and incentives that direct development away from environmentally sensitive areas. Because it's a downzoning, we'll list objective 6.1 because they, again, be restricting the amount of uses and restricting the density. At November 7th, Onslow County Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. The applicant was present for the meeting, and 3 citizens spoke several times on the request. Their concerns were regarding the allowance of farm animals, which could result in an unfavorable smell on their properties, and concerns that farm equipment could travel down the roadway depending on who potentially developed that farm. And no military impacts were presented during the planning board meeting. Look at the aerials for the properties. Here you can see the properties are forested, and again, their position relative to the Cotton Hill subdivision. Here you can take a look and just see, again, they are forested, and you can as well see kind of the curvature there of Big Camp Branch there to the north, along that northern boundary. In order to post for tonight's posting, we did 2 signs in a gesture of good faith. So the one on the left was on the access towards one of the subject properties, while the one on the right was at a major intersection in the neighborhood. Because we had several citizens come out to planning board, and the legal posting sign would have been in a cul-de-sac remote from any citizen seeing it. We went the extra effort and did a second sign. But here you can see from one of the views, I believe this one is in Windermere, where you can see the wooded line and then the preparation of houses there in those cul-de-sacs. And I believe this one was for the Cotton Hill Place. So it is respectfully requested the Onslow County Board of Commissioners consider PREZ 2024 number 22, adopted a statement of consistency for the amendment, and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county. This concludes the staff presentation.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I will open the public hearing for the Cotton Hill rezoning. We have 2 individuals signed up to speak. The first one is John Pierce.
Again, John Pierce. I've got the major concern that I heard during the planning board meeting was the being relatively close to Section 3C of Cotton Hills, and I prepared a map. I had Haywood Pittman, my soil scientist, prepared a map showing the relationship of the wetlands, which we can't do anything at all. And plus, there's some wetlands on those lots themselves. But if it's okay, I'd like to pass these out to each of the commissioners as an exhibit. I think there should be plenty of them. And basically, it's the same circumstances that we had with Cotton Hills. I don't anticipate, we've got public water to them and all the lots perked, and we realize, against the one lot, there's a regulated stream, and we'll be well off of that. And in fact, it's bordered by wetlands. There's no development at all can happen within I think it's at least a 50-foot buffer of that, but I think we normally reserve like a 100-foot buffer along that stream. But I'm here, and like we stated at the planning board, we could have cut these lots up into 10-acre tracts, and actually, there's some people may have an interest in building a barn and may have an interest in having some animals, but there certainly are even a garden in it. There's enough room if they cleared enough to have a garden, but there's only a certain amount of buildable areas that's shown on that map that you can build into. And again, I'm here to answer any questions if any of the commissioners might have them. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the second speaker is Greg Cummings.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg Cummings. My address is 227 North Windy Ridge Road in Hubert. I'm here to speak because, yes, the concern that we have in our residential area is that we bought a house in good faith in that area. We moved from Northern Carolina, Northern Illinois down here to buy a house in a subdivision with other houses, a residential area. And we're concerned, like my neighbors that came to the other meeting, that we don't want animal traffic. People ride horses all over the place. Who's going to pick up the defecation from the horses? Also, like we noticed at the other meeting, the smell and the traffic. That's the main concern. We have a lot of children that are playing on the roads and things like that. They play all over the place. They ride their bikes. We're concerned about the traffic, the noise, the smell, and what might it do to the environment as far as the groundwater in ditches and things like that. Again, we bought a house in a subdivision that was supposed to be regulated for houses, not a farm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, we will close the public hearing and turn it over to you for the board's deliberation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just one quick item. Carter, since you're done, I'll take this time to say I appreciate your thoroughness of the level of detail that you do everything. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Mr. Smitherman, we are to the item 6, Glover land donation.
Yes, sir. We have two items in general items this evening. The first one will be presented by our Solid Waste Director, Jamie Harrell.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time this evening. Mid-October, Mr. Matt Glover contacted Solid Waste about donating 171 acres land right behind the landfill between Meadowview Road and Highway 111. It is our request that y'all accept the donation from Mr. Glover. That piece of property is no good anymore for actually building landfills because all the clay's been used in the facility. But there's thousands and thousands of cubic yards of common fill that we can use for daily garbage cover. That will put the landfill in a position where they don't have to buy soil for cover. Now we have one existing bar pit and one permitted bar pit after that. After that point, we would be in a position to have to buy soil. The piece of property can be used for a laydown yard for future expansions, equipment and so on and so forth. Just has many uses. At this time, I ask the Board of Commissioners to consider accepting the donation of the Glover Construction Company and allowing the county manager and the county attorney to sign any required documents.
Motion to approve.
And I'm here for questions. That was easy.
We have a motion, a second. He's here for questions. Any discussion?
I just want to say that is a great piece of property for us, especially in a storm time. You've got we're always looking sites for storm debris, and this can handle the whole western end of Onslow County. So we're putting ourselves in a real good position.
Any other discussion? All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. So now, Mr. Warren.
All right, good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. For your consideration this evening, I'm bringing you the proposed contract for the multipurpose building renovation project. This is a project that's been in the works for a couple of years now. As you'll recall, that building had some environmental issues, and also just the functional space within the building was really not set up for the services we were providing. And so we've taken the last couple of years to really be diligent in working with our different departments to make sure that we came up with a design that was functional, that met the needs of our senior population and our agricultural service agencies today, but also accounted for future growth and modernization that could be incorporated into the design. And so we took the project, it went out for formal bids back in November, and we had 5 responsible bidders that submitted bids. We are very pleased this evening to bring you a bid in the amount of $12,356,800, with Clancy and Thays Construction Company being the lowest responsible bidder. As we were going into this bidding process, we had a couple of different points in the schematic design and the design development phases of the projects where we received cost estimates. And going into the bids, we were expecting bids $4, $5, $6 million higher than what we actually received. So we were very excited about the cost of the project and where the bids fall right now. And so our formal request this evening is for the board to consider awarding the contract to Clancy and Thays Construction Company in the amount of $12,356,800 for the renovations to the multipurpose building, and if approved, to authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Warren. Item number, we're skipping 7 with nothing from the consent agenda, and to the manager's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Warren just presented a great bid. We had 3 bidders that were within like $1,400 of each other, so a very competitive bid process, and we're very pleased with the results and happy to get started on that major renovation project. Would like to report that I met with the municipal mayors and managers last week of our area jurisdictions, and had a spirited discussion about how we can better inform our citizens about public services available from our local governments and other public service providers. And we used your 2025 Board of Commissioners Guide to Onslow County Government as the baseline for that. And we're going to riff off of that format and involve all the other municipalities and invite the service providers like Duke, Jones Onslow, Onwasso, to help us produce this annual periodical to inform our citizens and our visitors about how to access local government in Onslow County. So you can look forward to that the next few months. We did graduate our first EMS cadet class. These were young folks, I think 16 to 18, something like that. And that's a new program for us to recruit and develop staff to be our emergency medical responders. And we congratulate the EMS crew, and particularly EMS Division Head Stephanie Kane, for that project. And I'll just close by saying 2024 was a fabulous year for Onslow County government. All of us on the inside of government, including the Board of Commissioners, knows how much we got accomplished. I think the public will start seeing that in 2025. It was an ambitious year. And I'm proud to report that we got nearly everything done that you asked us to do back in January of 2024. We're sharing that story with the municipal boards and have met with 4 of the 6 municipal boards as of today, and we'll be going to Surf City and North Topsail Beach the first or second week of January. So thank you very much. Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you have a great holiday season.
Thank you, Mr. Smitherman. We'll move into commissioner comments. We're going to see how short we can be tonight, Commissioner Buchanan. We'll keep it to 5 minutes, maybe. Commissioner Bennett, your challenge.
Okay.
Your challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank everybody that came tonight and for those who spoke. And thank our manager for all he's done in the last year. We appreciate that. Mr. Bogey, I have read all your emails, and I've been to Maynard Manor several times. The letter that you presented in the last email was very interesting, and I'll be looking into that and see if there's anything enforceable there. So a lot of interesting stuff going on. But to be short, I'll say Thank you all for being here. Merry Christmas. Remember that Jesus is the reason for the season. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Commissioner Buchanan?
Thank you. And they're not talking about me. I'm not a long speaker. They're talking about somebody else up here, but you'll have to figure that out for yourselves. What I want to do is thank everybody for being here. And one of the things I want to bring up is Parks and Rec. What they did for the Christmas lighting of our tree was amazing. I've never seen a laser show ever, and 200 drones to be in the air was amazing. 200 drones were up there. And Jeff Clark, who represents Marine Federal, he sponsored that for us at the Parks and Rec, and it was amazing. And Ben was there, Tim was there. It was just amazing to watch them launch 200 drones into the air and do the show they did with lasers. It was amazing. And I want to thank Parks and Rec and Janelle and all the people that were behind that took place. David, that was just amazing with the public that was there. We do so much for our public, and I want to thank him for that. The range thing, Mr. Green, I know where you're coming from. I don't know what we can do. We'll do whatever we can do, but I can tell you right now it's going to be a tough road. I wish there was something we could do. I mean, I wish I could just make a magic wand and said, here, do this. And I was in the same boat. You know, I had a horse farm for a while, and I had rounds coming through my farm. It's aggravating. Whatever we can figure out, I don't know what it'll be, Mr. Green. We're going to try to do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Buchanan. Commissioner Carpenter?
So, the first thing I want to do is say thank you to the county manager for heading up a very, very robust Board of Commissioners orientation which was designed, I think, for the newest commissioners. However, a couple of us also participated in that for 2 days, and it was fantastic to have all of the different departments show up in force and to learn things that I'd never known about that are the inner workings of the county. So thank you so much, every single one of you that's here tonight and the ones that might be watching later. We really appreciated it so much, didn't we, Tim?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, and I think the highlight was the tours. I'm sorry that I missed the one to the landfill, but we did enjoy going to the tower at the airport. And so thank you, Mitch. And that's a great segue into what I always love to report on is my really pleasure of serving on the Airport Advisory Board. When I went this past week, we were given this document, which is a second edition, issue 2, volume 1, issue 2, dated December 6th of Onslow Business. It's a new periodical in the county here. And there were some interesting little tidbits I just wanted to share that are highlighted in this article. A study of the 10 commercial airports in North Carolina recently conducted by the North Carolina Department of Transportation found that OAJ supported over 3,400 jobs, had an economic output of over $700 million, and generated over $35 million in tax revenue. That's a lot of dollars. Mitch Sprunger says the biggest message to the community and to our business travelers is we are a conduit for commerce for the community. He adds that we're here to serve our citizens and guests, but we improve the quality of life for everyone out here through this tax revenue generation, providing the convenience with air travel services that we offer, and then setting up infrastructure right now for long-term business development and sustainability. So I know I've said it once, if I've not said it 100 times, but I just so appreciate that we've got that gem of an airport over there, and thank you to you and your staff for all that you do. I'll finish up by just wishing everyone a very joyful Christmas and wonderful, memorable times with your friends and family through the days ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Carpenter. Commissioner Davis?
Yes, sir. All right, asset and facility management. I got the shirt on, guys. If you're here, see it on the video. But thank y'all for the shirt. Proud to represent you guys today and what y'all do for the county, and keep up the great work. Appreciate the smiles when we walk through the buildings and the windows to everything. Y'all have been great. I'm going to echo some of what Commissioner Carpenter said, and the tours and the presentations in the rooms were fantastic, but not just in the presentations, but as people. I was so impressed by the passion all of you had for your jobs. To the point, a young lady named Mary Grace, her presentation just took it to the core of our vision and mission statements and how she was trying to do her job and represent those well. And to me, that when the employees have that passion for what they're doing, that was just fantastic. There are, you get in trouble when you call out names, but I am going to call out 2 names, and it's just what I do, and if I get in trouble, I get in trouble. Kevin Patterson and Janelle Galloway, y'all probably spent the most time in front of us, and both of y'all's detail and level of quality work that you put before us and your willingness to answer questions that came out of left field, I just appreciate it. And y'all did well. Y'all put a lot of time in front of us over a almost 7-day period in and out. So thank you both for your quality of work. And one last thanks to the Lancers and their work in the county. Their work along with other fire departments in the county, the sheriff department, a couple of the towns, and I hesitate to name because I may not get all the towns, but they're working with a couple of towns as well. And they're and Walmart, and getting Christmas gifts to our children in Onslow County, and it's spread to surrounding counties and also spread to Western North Carolina to get gifts across the state of North Carolina. So to the Lancers and to the Sheriff Department and Walmart and to the towns that participated in that, just hats off. Well done. Mr. Smitherman, thank you for our conversation this morning. Obviously, our conversation was circled around volunteers and around municipalities and how we communicate and building those partnerships and alliances. And I look forward to meeting with you next year and hearing your vision to hear out through the year. And I just think it's very important, Mayor Pete is here, and that we do develop strong relationships, even though they are our volunteer fire departments and our municipalities are independent organizations. I think we have to, and if you'll forgive me, I'm going to engineer geek out on you just for a second. We have to do like those old Venn diagrams where the circles overlap just enough that we're engaged and involved with each other. And I think it's critical that those person-to-person relationships happen. So thank you for that conversation today. Finally, because I don't want to beat Lisa, I think Lisa was hitting 5 minutes. So, but Merry Christmas, and thank you for allowing me to serve you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Paget?
Daggone if he didn't take 5 minutes, too.
Did you time it?
Now, I just want to say thank everyone for being here. Mr. Boat, have you tried to contact Mr. Mays on your road? You might want to try that. If you could. Yeah, I think I've known him for a long time. He's a pretty straight up person, and I think that would be good to do. And just like the shooting range, it's hard, and our hands are tied at this minute. We will look and do everything we can, and I want to thank everybody for coming. Like John today said just a few minutes ago, thank the staff for what y'all presented us. I was a commissioner here 24 years ago, and baby, a lot has changed, and I can tell you from experience. But our county is on the grow, and our county is growing very well. There's a lot of new, exciting things going to happen for Onslow County, and we've come a long ways. When this land here used to be hunting land, right where we're sitting, things has changed, and growth has changed, and our community is good to live in, and we're very proud of that. So I want to say to each and every one of you, you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and remember to stick with your family, because that's all we got at the end of the day. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Paget. Vice Chairman?
Real quick, I want to first thank David and his staff, especially the assistant county managers, for an outstanding job, for outstanding workshops, outstanding meetings. It's real good when you can pick up the phone and call them, bounce things off of them, or you have a question or an inquiry by your citizen. They jump on it and they handle it. Well done, very professional. A lot of people that don't know that we also have Brett DeSelms, our attorney, sitting in the background. He answers all the legal questions, and he basically keeps it between the lines so that we don't run into ditches, and I appreciate you too. And speaking of Onslow County employees, we've got some back there from Animal Control. They, these guys got one of the toughest jobs in the county. They get calls all the time and inquiries, and you can't please the citizens. So what they do and how they respond, and they try to handle it tactfully, and I know it gets on their nerves at times, sometimes, big time, as I can imagine, but well done, man. I appreciate what you guys do, and I just wanted to recognize you. And one last thing, a shout out to Terry Jarman. Had the opportunity to attend the Richlands Christmas Parade this past weekend. That's a great parade. I mean, you're real close to the population. You're talking to people, shaking hands. It's just a down-to-earth type of parade that I really enjoy, and my wife enjoyed it, and so we had a blast representing the commissioners, and I just wanted to thank Terry because he got me into the parade, and he's just a great guy in Richlands. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Be safe during these holidays. Have a great and blessed New Year. We're into that season now, and just please stay safe. And I also want to say Merry Christmas to Miss Carpenter, because as of right now, I'm finished.
Minute and 45 seconds.
Hallelujah.
Minute and 45.
That's the
Beat
shortest
that.
he's ever talked.
Beat it.
Hey,
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Number one, just thank you to all the speakers that come in and spoke today. And Mr. Green, we're going to do everything we can to find a way to handle that. Commissioner Buchanan's already talked about that. Everybody present has a reason for being here, and we appreciate all those attending. And with that being said, as we move into the new year, let's and celebrate Christmas. Let's keep the themes of Advent as we go into January of 25 of hope, peace, joy, and love. Can't go wrong if we start January 1st with those in our hearts and our minds. With that being said, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we are adjourned in 38 seconds.